This is a coming-of-age film every woman should watch at least once in her life. 14 should have been an age filled with hope. Yet this girl, under the torment of her cruel stepfather, gave birth to 2 children one after another. Before she could even get a clear look at their faces, her stepfather snatched the children from her arms, threatened her not to tell anyone, and then heartlessly sold them away. Her inhuman stepfather did not only treat Celie this way, he also kept casting dangerous eyes on Celie's younger sister Nettie. Fortunately, after he later married a young woman, the sister's life in that living nightmare improved ever so slightly. At church, a man who had recently lost his wife was always staring at Nettie. Before long, this man came to their home to propose marriage. The stepfather was unwilling to hand over the innocent younger sister, so he sold Celie to this man like she was a piece of property. The naive Celie became the man's second wife just like that. The moment she arrived at the house, her stepson gave her a brutal welcome. Celie was struck in the head by a stone and left bleeding. A bright red handprint was left on the rock, and the suffering of her life began from that moment. On the second day of her marriage, she started working. The filthy kitchen stunned her, with spiderwebs everywhere and mice crawling across the floor. It hardly looked like a place for people to live. Celie made no complaint at all. She wrung out a cloth and wiped the wall, and a little flower buried under dust finally saw the light again. Celie was hardworking and capable, keeping the house in perfect order and taking care of 3 stepchildren without a word of complaint. But no matter how hard she worked, she still could not earn even the slightest respect from her husband.
Shut up!
I can't, it hurts her.
Her husband treated her worse than he would treat a dog. Facing such cruel treatment, Celie did not dare to resist even a little. One day, her younger sister escaped from their stepfather's constant pressure, and with nowhere else to go, she came to Celie for shelter. Celie carefully asked her husband whether her sister could stay, and to her surprise, he agreed without hesitation. Her sister's arrival was like a beam of light, brightening Celie's gray and hopeless life. Knowing that Celie could not read, her sister pasted words on every object and taught her to pronounce them one by one. Seeing her timid sister often bullied by those unruly children, she encouraged Celie to stand up for herself. But Celie did not understand how to fight back, because for so many years, all she had thought about was how to survive. During the days when her sister was there, Celie felt as if she had returned to the carefree days of her childhood. The 2 sisters were always together, clapping hands and singing the nursery rhymes they knew as children. No one noticed that her husband's greedy gaze had always been fixed on Nettie. Not long after, the man found his chance, followed Nettie as she went out to school, and stopped her at a crossroads. Nettie was different from Celie. She fought back with everything she had, making sure the man could not get what he wanted. What came in return was the man's furious revenge. As he drove Nettie out and forcibly tore apart these 2 deeply bonded sisters, the sisters cried and screamed with all their strength, because this separation might mean goodbye forever.
Ronnie! Nothing but death could keep me from it!
After Nettie left, Celie's life once again fell into darkness. Every day, she waited and hoped for a letter from her sister. One day, when the mailman came to deliver letters, she asked her husband whether there was any letter for her, but he viciously warned her not to touch the mailbox, or she would be in serious trouble. Day after day passed, and Celie never received a letter from Nettie, so she began to wonder whether her sister had already died. In that suffocating environment, Celie became more and more silent and numb, like a hard-working donkey, obeying every demand her husband made. Her husband's eldest son Harpo had reached the age to start a family, and he brought home a woman named Sophia, hoping his father would approve their marriage. Seeing how deeply the 2 already cared for each other, the man coldly mocked them, saying the child might not even be Harpo's. But Sophia was no pushover. She stood up and fired back, telling Harpo to make his own decision.
Harpo, don't you move 1 step.
Just don't make me wait too long, Harpo.
In the end, the 2 still walked into marriage together, but only a few days after the wedding, Harpo became troubled, because Sophia's strong personality made him feel like he had lost his dignity as a man. He asked his father for advice, and his father laughed and said that once a woman is put in her place, she will learn to obey. Harpo went home and shouted at his wife, but Sophia did not take him seriously at all, throwing the hoe to him before turning around to take care of the children. The frustrated Harpo had no idea what to do with her. At that moment, Celie said that after so many years of insults and mistreatment, she had come to believe that women were supposed to live this way, and she did not even realize that she had gone from being a victim to helping the harm continue. It was not until Sophia came to the house with bruises around her eyes.
All my life I had to fight. Girl child ain't safe in the family men's. But I ain't never thought I had to fight in my own house. I loves Harpo. God knows I do. But I kill him dead.
From then on, the conflicts between the couple never stopped. Finally, one day, Sophia could no longer take it, so she took the children and left without the slightest hesitation. After Sophia left, Celie's life fell back into loneliness. Every day, she waited beside the mailbox for a letter from her sister, but every time, she came back disappointed. Until one night, the arrival of a mysterious woman completely changed Celie's life. Her name was Shug, the woman everyone praised as the Honey Queen. With a beautiful voice, stunning beauty, and fearless confidence, Celie's usually arrogant husband became like an obedient little dog in front of her. When Shug said she could not stand the smell of smoke, he immediately put out his cigarette. Only after all these years did Celie learn from this woman what her husband's real name was. Albert, who had never stepped into a kitchen before, made an exception and cooked for Shug, but he did not even know how to use a pot, so of course the food turned out terrible. Shug did not spare his feelings at all.
No, look out now, baby, don't be that way.
Celie had never seen such a proud woman before, and she was deeply curious about her. She carefully prepared a delicious meal and brought it to the door, and as long as Shug was willing to eat it, Celie felt incredibly happy. Just like that, the two became friends who could talk about anything. Although Shug was a singer who could charm countless men, her father, as a pastor, had always refused to accept her. Seeing Shug's vulnerable side, Celie finally understood that both of them carried their own pain. After Sophia left, Harpo turned the house into a club, and Shug was invited to be the lead singer. Dressed in a red gown, Shug shone brightly, and her singing was even more intoxicating, drawing people from miles around to come and catch a glimpse of her beauty, while Albert's eyes were filled with admiration for her. What surprised Celie was that Shug actually wrote a song for her, thanking her for taking care of her during this time. Everyone turned around one after another, wanting to see who this woman being thanked was.
We're two of a kind souls.
Celie's face was full of smiles, but tears shimmered in her eyes. This was the first time in her life that someone had truly cared about her. After returning home, Shug asked Celie to put on her dress. At first, Celie was still shy and awkward in front of the mirror, but with Shug's warm encouragement, she slowly let herself go and laughed out loud without any fear. Like a bright and confident young girl, the two danced wildly and sang freely, and Celie had never felt so free. But happy times are always short. Shug was leaving the next day, and Celie fell into sadness, knowing she would have to return to that life with no light at all. After learning that Albert often mistreated her, Shug comforted her softly and gently kissed her on the face. That kiss was warm and beautiful, allowing Celie to feel what it was like to be loved. Before leaving, Shug went to the church to see her father, but he turned his back and pretended not to see her. But Shug did not mind, and simply began telling him about everything she had experienced over the years. Her father never responded, and in the end, he even turned around and went back into the room, leaving Shug no choice but to walk away with dignity. Finally, the moment of farewell arrived, and Celie blocked the closing carriage door, her eyes filled with expectation. She badly wanted to say, "Take me with you," but Albert's fierce gaze was clearly a warning, and Celie backed down.
I was gonna miss you.
Watching the carriage move farther and farther away, Celie suddenly collapsed without warning. The mayor's wife had a special fondness for people of color, and she even wanted the children's mother to work as her maid. Although Sophia was a black woman, she never believed she was beneath anyone, so she refused her directly. Sophia's somewhat emotional attitude angered the mayor.
Gail, what did you say to Miss Millie?
I said hell.
No! Miss Sophia, no!
The mayor was knocked to the ground, and immediately afterward, all the white people gathered around, drowning Sophia in their insults and hostility. She turned to the police for help, but when the officer came over, he struck her directly with the butt of his gun. This one conflict left her in prison for 8 years. During those 8 years, she endured endless suffering, lost sight in one eye after being beaten, and aged as if decades had passed. Like a ghost who had walked out of hell, the mayor showed mercy and released her, but she still ended up as the mayor's wife's maid. Lifeless like a puppet, the mayor's wife asked Sophia to teach her how to drive, then drove through the black neighborhood recklessly, with no regard for anyone's safety. When they went to the store to shop, Sophia had so many things to buy that she was completely overwhelmed, and at that moment, a familiar figure appeared. Celie quietly helped her put the items into bags, and this small act of kindness brought a trace of warmth back to Sophia's frozen heart. On Christmas Day, the mayor's wife acted generous and gave Sophia half a day off, allowing her to go home and see her family. After 8 long years apart, the children had already grown up, and some could hardly recognize Sophia, but family ties run deep, and the moment their hands touched, they hugged each other tightly. The mayor's wife was ready to leave and agreed to come back for Sophia at 5 in the afternoon. Sophia also walked into the house surrounded by her family. 8 years of lost time had taken too much from her, so she treasured every second of being reunited with her loved ones. But outside, something went wrong, because the mayor's wife did not know how to put the car in reverse, and her frantic attempts frightened everyone. The men all stepped forward to help, but she thought they were trying to attack her and ran out of the car in a panic. Sophia quickly stepped forward to comfort her and asked her own sisters to take the woman back, so she could have more time with her family. But the mayor's wife did not trust anyone except Sophia, so Sophia had no choice but to say goodbye to her loved ones again. Early that morning, the roar of a car came from outside the window, and Shug had returned. Celie and her husband happily went downstairs to welcome her, but they never expected that Shug had gotten married, and she had married a wealthy businessman. Only stopping here along the way, the two men hit it off right away, and Albert did not notice that the mailman had arrived. Coincidentally, Shug was also waiting for a letter, so she took all the mail and unexpectedly found a letter addressed to Celie. Shug brought Celie into the room and took out the letter, and the name signed on it was her younger sister, Natty. It turned out that Natty was not dead, and for all these years, she had been trying to write to Celie, but Celie had not received a single letter. So where did all those letters go? While the two men went to the bar, Shug and Celie searched the house from top to bottom, and finally, under the floorboards, they found the letters Albert had hidden, more than 100 of them. Celie was overjoyed, and from that day on, she read the letters every moment she could. Through those letters, she felt as if she could see the world her sister had walked through and experience everything her sister had been through. Although they were thousands of miles apart, the two sisters' hearts felt so close. This also gradually awakened Celie, making her realize that life might still hold another possibility. Albert also noticed that Celie seemed different now. One day, while she was reading the letters on the lawn, Albert suddenly appeared and slapped her without warning. Albert ordered her to shave his face, while still cursing her with ugly words. Celie said nothing, but anger surged inside her heart. Under Albert's urging, Celie slowly walked toward the man she hated to the bone. Albert stretched out his neck, completely unaware of the danger coming toward him, but just as Celie was about to act, Shug grabbed her from behind. Shug understood Celie's hatred, but she could not watch Celie destroy herself. A few days later, at a family dinner, Celie announced in front of everyone that she was leaving with Shug. Albert did not take it seriously at all, because in his eyes, Celie was old and ugly, and without him, she would have nowhere to go. But the Celie standing before him was no longer the same woman she used to be.
And into creation, and your dead body be just the welcome that I need.
You can't talk to my boy that way.
Your boy? Seemed like if he hadn't been your boy, he might have made somebody a halfway decent man.
Celie accused Albert of tearing her and her sister apart. And what disappointed Albert even more was that she would soon reunite with her sister and her 2 children.
Of course, your daddy ain't nothing but some dead horse shit.
Horse pie.
Shut up! Ain't no bad luck for a woman in the life of the man.
Everyone fell silent, and only one laugh rang out especially loud. Sophia had not laughed out loud like this in a long time, and after everything she had suffered in prison, she understood exactly how Celie felt. Albert finally realized that everything was slipping out of his control, and he panicked, standing up and beginning to belittle Celie. Facing Albert's filthy insults, Celie picked up a dinner knife and cursed him, saying that unless he treated her with true respect, everything he wanted would turn to nothing. Sophia advised her not to follow the same path she once did, and besides, a man like him was not worth holding on to. And just like that, Celie left that house that had been like hell.
I'm poor, black, I may even be ugly, but dear God, I'm here. I'm here.
Not long after, Albert faced the consequences of his own actions. He drank all day, drifted through life in a haze, left the fields unharvested, left the animals uncared for, and let the house fall into complete chaos. His father came over to scold him and urged him to find another woman to bring home. But this time, Albert did not listen to his father's advice, and instead drove him out. Celie returned to her old home to attend her stepfather's funeral, and the man who had ruined her youth was finally gone. Celie could not wait to begin a new life and took back the house that had belonged to her and Nettie all along. Celie finally had a home of her own, and through her own hard work, her life became more and more wonderful. She opened a tailor shop specializing in women's pants, and like Shug, she became an independent, confident, and hopeful woman. And through her tireless efforts, Shug finally earned her father's forgiveness. One morning, Celie was awakened by the sound of wind chimes, and in the distance, a car slowly drove toward her. As if sensing something, Celie put on her glasses. Among the flowers, one red cloak and one purple cloak swayed in the wind. Celie walked forward step by step, hardly able to believe that the person she had missed her entire life was right in front of her. The two sisters crossed the sea of flowers and embraced each other in excitement. The long years had never washed away the love between them. The two children also returned to Celie's side. In the distance, Albert watched all of this with quiet satisfaction. The reason Nettie and the others were able to return safely was that he had spent all his savings to complete the necessary paperwork for them, and this was the only right thing he had ever done in his life. Under the glow of the setting sun, in the purple sea of flowers, the two sisters once again sang the song from their childhood, a song that carried the meaning of never being separated again.